Hello, everybody. This is your main man Keith here from Keith Plays PS4 927. Happy Wednesday afternoon to all my awesome viewers on this awesome channel. We have the first round bye, as you guys can see, because of our victory over the Washington football team, and we're the Orlando Wizards. So I'm just showing you all the playoffs and end of regular season statistics and weekly awards. So for wildcard weekend for the NFC, the Arizona Cardinals will host the Carolina Panthers. The Chicago Bears will be hosting the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Philadelphia Eagles will be hosting the Los Angeles Rams. So for the AFC, the Tennessee Titans will be hosting the Cleveland Browns. The Pittsburgh Steelers will be hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. And the Miami Dolphins will be hosting the Baltimore Ravens. The Las Vegas Raiders for the AFC have that first round bye, so they move on to the divisional. So do we for the NFC. Alright, now we are in statistics. The Las Vegas Raiders have the best record in the NFL, the best in the AFC with a 15-1 record. The Orlando Wizards, the second best NFL record, as well as the best record in the NFC. The Orlando Wizards, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Carolina Panthers, the Miami Dolphins, Arizona Cardinals, and the Los Angeles Rams all have a 12-4 record, so they all made the playoffs. The Chicago Bears, the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tennessee Titans, and the Philadelphia Eagles, alongside with the Cleveland Browns, were all 11-5 but made the playoffs. The Jacksonville Jaguars, with a 10-6 record, made the playoffs. So were the Dallas Cowboys, but they didn't make it. 10-6 for Baltimore Ravens, they made it. Detroit Lions 9-7, 8-8 for the Cincinnati Bengals, Seattle Seahawks, Indianapolis Colts, and the New York Giants. The Kansas City Chiefs went 7-9, so did the Atlanta Falcons. The Los Angeles Chargers went 6-10 on the year. The Buffalo Bills went 5-11 on the year. 4-12 for both the New England Patriots and the Denver Broncos. The Minnesota Vikings and the Green Bay Packers both went 3-13. The San Francisco 49ers went 2-14. The Washington Football Team and the Houston Texans did not make it as well. They both fall 1-15, and the New York Jets are 0-16 on the regular season. So they have not won a single game, but the New York Jets will get the first round draft pick in the 2022 season. So depending on who wins the Super Bowl, they will get the 32nd pick overall. So we'll see you at awards. All right, for the offensive, so the Cleveland Browns had 6,400 offensive yards, but total yards gained they had 7,771. So they had 39 passing touchdowns, they had 18, and they had 297 first downs. The Kansas City Chiefs were ranked second. Let's see how many passing touchdowns the teams have. So the New York Jets did not do great. They had 19 passing touchdowns. The Orlando Wizards, that's us, had the most passing touchdowns in this regular season. So that's really interesting to hear. Mainly the fact that the rookie Jalen Jefferson was at least an 86 overall when he first stepped onto the field against the Buffalo Bills, which I will have the link to the video. So the Las Vegas Raiders and the Tennessee Titans both had 29 rushing touchdowns. The Baltimore Ravens and the Dallas Cowboys had 27. Let's see where Orlando, we had 21 rushing touchdowns. We did really well, though, but I wouldn't have to take that in consideration. So, defensive-wise, we had 75 sacks, 37 fumble recoveries, and 15 interceptions. So that's 52 turnover takeaways each, so that's really good. So we only allowed 454, so we only allowed 2,047 passing yards, and we only allowed less than 200, so 172, and we're the only team to allow less than 200, so that's really good. Rush-wise, only team less than 1,000 and 500, so that's really interesting to see as well. Penalties, we had the least amount of penalties this season. The Minnesota Vikings had 124 with the most. And turnover-wise, We never really threw any interceptions. Like I said about 1 minute ago, we had 52 turnover differentials. We did not lose any fumbles. So defensive interceptions, we had 15. That's still the same thing either way. And we'll show you the players of the week. This is the top players of the week. So, like, week 1, nobody for Orlando won it. As you can see here, week 2, Quan Alexander won against the Falcons with 3 sacks and 2 forced fumbles. Week 3, nobody. Week 4, Chris Godwin with 3 receptions, 164 receiving yards, and 2 touchdowns. So I think we beat the Patriots in that episode. And Patrick Peterson from Seattle had 1 tackle, 2 INTs, and 1 touchdown return. But this is where both NFC offensive and defensive players from week 7. So we were 5 for 6, 130 yards, 5 touchdowns, 1 sack allowed. Quan Alexander, I gotta say, was our best defensive player in this season. 2 sacks, 1 fumble recovery, and I think we also won a defensive player of the week 12, with Bobby Wagner with that 1 INT, 2 touchdowns, and 2 forced fumbles. Patrick Peterson in week 13 with 2 INTs and 2 touchdowns. I think it was against Carolina. And we won Offensive Player of the Week against Green Bay, 5 receptions, 207 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And we won the NFC Defensive Player of the Week for the Wizards. So Malcolm Jenkins with 1 fumble recovery for a touchdown and 2 sacks taken. So that's really good. All right, Jameis Winston at 2,215 passing yards, 93 out of 119, 27 yards, 27 touchdowns, no INTs. Jalen Jefferson did throw, I don't know why it says 2 INTs, but he may not have thrown any INTs. 1990 yards for Jalen Jefferson, 84 out of 125, 25 touchdowns. So really, that's interesting to see from a rookie. Frank Gore, 104 carries, 1,000 rushing yards, and he had 17 touchdowns this season. Interestingly enough, so Jalen Jefferson had 36 carries, 336 yards, and 3 touchdowns. TJ Yeldon had 9 carries, 76 yards, and a touchdown receiving-wise. Chris Godwin had 47 receptions, 1,400 receiving yards, and 14 touchdowns this season. A.J. Green with 34 receptions, 897 receiving yards, and 9 touchdowns. Kenny Stills, 18 receptions, 590 yards, and 11 touchdowns. Gronk with 5 touchdowns, so did Malik Davis, Maurice Washington with 3 touchdowns, and Marquise Lee with 1 receiving touchdown. That's defensively. Let's take a look at how good our defense was. Quan Alexander was Cam Jordan had 14.5 sacks. Quan Alexander had 12.5. Bobby Wagner with 9 on the year. Marcus Davenport, 8.5. Carlos Dunlap, 8 sacks. Malcolm Jenkins with 4 sacks. Malik Jackson, Parker Anderson with 3.5. 3 sacks for Quintavious Green and Janoris Jenkins. 2 for Jimmy Smith. 1.5 for Chauncey Gardner-Johnson. 1 for Pierre Paul, and 1 for Richard Sherman. So, interceptions I'd like to see. Patrick Peterson with 6 in the season. Green and Chauncey Gardner-Johnson all had 3 INTs. Cam Jordan, Bobby Wagner, and Joe Hayden all had INTs. But who was the ones that had it returned for touchdowns? So, defensive touchdowns wise. So, Patrick Peterson with 5 defensive touchdowns. Dunlap had 3. Quintavious Green had 2, which were both for pick sixes. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson with 2. Malcolm Jenkins with 2. Cam Jordan with 1, and Quan Alexander with 1. So, were there any 2-point safeties to my knowledge that we scored of? I don't think. Kick return wise, Marquise Lee, 968 yards and 3 touchdowns this season. So, 103, you could tell that was a touchdown. Punt returns, Patrick Peterson did have a punt return for a touchdown. So did Parker Anderson. So, that basically wraps it up, everybody. I hope you guys really enjoyed this regular season wrap-up with our Orlando Wizards franchise. And we'll see you guys soon. Peace out.